Hi there, my crafty friends. These are some index cards that I created. It's the same method that I've used in my previous videos, but I haven't used inks. Been asked by some if I could do them with acrylics, and these are done with acrylics, and I'm going to show you how, because you can get a very similar effect as you do with the inks, with acrylics, or even if you had watercolors. I'd like to show you that you can do it with whatever you have available at home, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to go out and buy special supplies. I'm also not using expensive acrylics. These little tubs are from Kmart here in Australia, and I think it's $5 for a 24 pack of colors, so they really are inexpensive. I also have these from Kaiser Color from Kaiser Craft. They're about $2 a tube, also quite affordable, so you can get as many colors as your budget allows. I'm using standard index cards that I just get from the supermarket. They're in a backpack of 200, and I'm going to put the acrylic in a little palette and add quite a bit of water. We want a watered down effect to be able to let the smushing happen. For those that are new to my smushing technique, this is what I do when I put the ink or paint onto an acrylic block, put water, and then smush it onto my surface. If you don't have an acrylic block, don't panic. You can use a piece of plastic or a piece of glass, maybe from a photo frame, or even one of those Ziploc bags. The plastic is quite thick, so you could also use that. And instead of putting the acrylic block or the plastic onto the card, you can put the card onto that the other way around, and then just smush it around that way. Another trick with this technique is to add quite a bit of water. It helps to loosen the paint a little bit and helps it to flow in all the directions and gives it that effect that we're looking for. I'm using purples and greens for these index cards because I'm going to be using them for a journal that I've made that's got the same color theme. But of course you can make them in any colors that you like. Be sure to dry each layer of color before you add the next one, so the color builds one on top of the other and you get this really lovely effect. I'm now going to add a bit of green, but I'm not going to do any smushing with it. I'm just going to sprinkle drops on top and then spray water to help it spread a little bit, and you'll see the effect it gets now. So just a little bit of splatter with watered down acrylic, some spraying, and then just leave it to spread, and it sort of does a beautiful light green around each droplet. Don't be too concerned that the paper is warping and curling. We can press that under a stack of books once we're done. I'm now going to apply some gesso. I'm going to add it using the flat side of a small piece of cardboard. You could also use a paintbrush or your finger to apply the gesso, but I do like the right angle lines that this technique leaves. We're not going to cover the full surface, we're just going to do it in certain areas. So we have some brighter colors and then some muted down colors, and you can see how the underneath colors are shining through. I'm also going to add a little bit of black, as this is part of the theme of the journal that I'm using these cards for. But before I add the black, I'm going to add some more texture. I'm using the stencil with some texture paste. I've done the same stenciling with texture paste in the journal. If you'd like to see a flip through of the journal, you can click now in the top right hand corner to take you to that video. This technique can also be used to make junk journal background papers, or even if you're into making cards. Look at the beautiful colors, and then the white texture paste on top gives it a beautiful effect. But now I'm going to add the black. I'm using black acrylic paint that I've watered down, adding a little bit on the edge, spraying with my water spray bottle and allowing the color to flow through. And as you can see, it goes in between and over some of the stenciling that I've done and leaves a beautiful, beautiful effect. Another of my favorites is adding black splatter, which I'm going to do now. I think it adds a beautiful contrast to the whole overall look. some edging with my black watercolor pencil, just dipping the point in some water and doing some rough lines around some of the edging of the index card. I'm going to add a drop of color on the other side of the index card. This would be the journaling side, so I don't want it to be plain white. Just doing a little bit of splatter with the paint, adding some water, and then I just press the two pieces together and just let it smush a little bit, very, very lightly. I don't want it too dark. And then I'm continuing the black pencil marking on the side of the card as well, the same as I've done on the front. These could be just as is, like this. You could leave them plain. I'm going to embellish mine and I'm going to add a tab like an index card, but you most certainly could leave them plain. I think they look pretty effective on their own. To be a little bit different, I've decided to make the tab a circle. I've used my 1-inch punch to punch some cardstock in a coordinating color, and I'm going to add that as the tab. I'm using a pressed flower sticker on each, as this again is part of the theme of the journal that these index cards are going into. I'm going to play around a bit with some colored cardstock and some of this text from an encyclopedia, just trying to position my embellishment just to see what works best, working on the composition. I add and remove as I go until I'm happy with how it all looks. Once I'm happy with the composition, I'm going to start gluing everything down. I'm using a hot glue gun. You could also use a glue stick or craft glue, but I do like the instant seal of the hot glue. That's why I tend to use that, but most adhesives will work for this. I'm adding a small piece of black washi tape so it looks as if the dried flower sticker has been stuck down with some tape. I'm using a black fine liner pen to add some scribbles. It's not anything legible, it just looks like writing, but it just looks like somebody has written notes, so just a few scribbles and some numbers. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe now. I have more videos coming soon. Also hit the little bell button so you get notified every time I upload new content. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've been inspired to create your own projects. If you'd like to see a flip through of the junk journal that I created that I used these index cards for, please go to the description of this video. I'll have a link there for you. Remember, use what you have. Art doesn't have to be expensive. We can make most things work. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye.